Hello, ako po si Pater Nuez Maquel, ang
Okay,
inyong
sige.
religion reporter. May kaugnayan ba ang Kristyanismo at ang paglago ng bayan? Noong 2025, may nainimbag na libro. No? Ito, hawak ko ngayon, Christian Framework for National Development. At ang nagsulat ng librong ito, mapalad tayo, nakasama natin siya dito sa isang event sa Quezon City, si former Chief Justice Maria Lourdes Sereno. Ma'am, congratulations on your book. This is the book of Chief Justice Sereno.
Salamat, Pat, and thank you for your warm greetings to not only to me, but to the entire faith community.
Ma'am, what is your book about?
Basically, it talks about the reality of faith, that when it is lived, it is able to function in a way that every citizen who says she or he follows Christ will be able to live an integral faith. Ibig sabihin, yung faith niya hindi pang simbahan lang, kundi umaapaw ito at lumalabas sa komunidad at tumutulong sa pagyabong ng bansa. Kaya yan ang, in one sentence, yan ang purpose ng book.
Of course, many Filipinos would ask, ano nangyari sa separation of church and state? How would you explain that?
Ang separation of church and state is a rule. Gagawin natin mas mas colloquial or easier to understand. Huwag makialam sa internal organization ng church kasi ang churches need to be protected also from the intrusiveness of the state, the rulers, the civil rulers. At the same time, huwag gagamitin ang pagiging church nila para sila ay ma-promote ng rulers who hold so much power. So basically, hinihiwalay yan, but it doesn't mean that public life is supposed to be devoid of talk about faith, religion, and even yung sacred writings. Kasama yan. Because we have so many decisions already in the past na kinikilala talaga ng Supreme Court. Even, no? And sinasabi nila ang Constitution, kumikilala ng interlinkages ng society at ng faith ng mga Pilipino.
Ma'am, dito po sa libro ninyo, ano po yung inyong isa sa mga favorite parts of the book siguro na you think the public can learn from the most?
Okay. Maganda, basahin nila yung foreword. Yung foreword is written by no less than Cardinal Ambot David. So he points us out to chapter 6, which talks about the family being the foundation of the nation. And he said, it's very interesting, ngayon lang daw siya nakakita ng ganito ang take sa Constitution and what it means practically for the development of the Filipino nation. Ang maganda dito sa librong ito, I didn't write it for theologians, not even lawyers, but also, but largely for the workers on the ground, church workers, priests, pastors, para naintindihan nila na ang faith nila buhay na buhay sa konstitusyon, at ang mga faith people, lalong-lalo na dahil sa pinagagalingan natin, dahil sa look for, no? Sinasabi ni Jesus, you really have to go out and serve the people. Ipapakita natin yung constitutional basis ng service na yan. At kung ipapakita mo ang constitution in a new light, na very appreciative ng faith natin, at very pro-God and pro-family yan, mas buhay ang pakikilahok natin bilang mga Pilipino.
Ma'am, paano naman yung mga hindi Kristiyano?
Yung mga
How will they fit in this framework?
Yung mga universal values na maririnig nila. Kasi pag-uusapan natin yung mga ang tinatawag ng Christian writings dito, yung shalom, purpose of God. Yung shalom basically talks about the human condition and how it should be improved. In other words, wholeness, peace, harmony, sufficiency, flourishing of the human condition. That's basically universal. But ang call ko specifically for those who call themselves as followers of Christ, payabungin nyo ang lipunan. Huwag hayaang maging private piety issue lang to. Kasi ang dami-dami niyong pwedeng itulong sa bayan. At gaganda ang Pilipinas kung ganoon ang perspective ng mga Pilipino.
And in the current political crisis that we have, how can we apply this framework for national development?
Di ba may search for truth? Mamahalin natin ang truth kasi it's a universal value which has a very high place sa scriptures. So ang mga Kristiyano gustong-gusto ang truth. How do we search for truth in this present political climate? So ako, I talk to all kinds of faith. In other words, lahat ng political persuasions kinakausap ko ngayon and trying to encourage them to find an upward trajectory for us, na hindi tayo division, hindi tayo away, kundi talagang tumbukoy natin what will bring us to a higher plane of living as a nation.
Ma'am, what about joining rallies, joining protests?
Hindi naman bawal yon. Kasi in fact, the Constitution already says na yung the right of the people for redress of grievances, and traditionally kasama yung rallies dyan, kasama naman yan. Hindi masama ang rally.
But in Christianity, kasi there are some Christian pastors who discourage that, di po ba? Dahil sasabihin nila, there is this verse in the letter to the Romans, if I'm not mistaken, that you have to be submit yourself
to ruling
authorities. Sa Romans po ba yon? Tama po ba?
Sa Romans yon. Ang pag-interpret ng mas productive at mas consequential is to understand, kaya nga ito Christian Framework for National Development at ang laki ng paliwanag natin sa Constitution, that today's ruling authorities is not already Imperial Rome. It is the Constitution embodying the will of the Filipino people. And under the preamble itself, ang highest ruling authority is the sovereign Filipino people. So kung sovereign Filipino people, linagdaan at sinumpaan bilang isang covenant yung ating konstitusyon, yan ang susundin ng lahat. At ang rebelde na sinasabi ni Paul, huwag kayong maging rebelde, are basically those who are just so deliberately destroying our constitution.
Kasi you yourself joined one of the rallies last year, tama po ba? The trillion peso march. Oo, and for sure may mga Christians who agreed with you, and there were Christians who disagreed with your joining of the rally. Tama po ba?
Siguro. Yeah, that would be a fair assessment. So ang sinasabi ko sa kanila, we are Christians but we are also part of the sovereign Filipino people. Ang sovereign Filipino people is responsible for making sure that we achieve our mission vision in the Constitution, which is the establishment of a just and humane society. We cannot do that if we don't exact accountability. That's in Article 11, Section 1. And doon nga sa dulo nakalagay public officials shall lead modest lives. Siguro alam mo yun, ano? So how do we make them accountable for the public funds that are entrusted to them? We use the constitutionally recognized forms of redress of grievances. Kasama na ang rally. But of course, yung message mo sa rally, babantayan mo. Kasi kung halimbawa, it is really seditious, edi parang you're breaking the law already, no? So you have to be careful that it has a redemptive character. Kasi kung hindi redemptive, ano pa ang point ng faith mo?
Ma'am, maraming nag-react nung one time that you commented on sex education. Diba? And Christians also comment on matters regarding sexuality, marriage. And there is one criticism na sinasabi na Christians tend to impose daw their beliefs on others, including non-believers, including the state. Tama po ba yun? Do you agree with that?
Mali naman. Kasi, look, there are so many sociological studies already. The latest being 2 days ago, the American Society of Plastic Surgeons already said that they disagree that gender-affirming care that is being practiced by their industry has very weak basis to basically address the harms that were being cited as the reason for proposing gender-affirming care for minors. So, ang sabi ng Plastic Surgeons ng America, that's the largest association of public surgeons, let the kids be 19 before they come into this irreparable, life-altering procedures. And then the American Medical Association sinabi, mukhang tama sila, weak nga ang evidence. Although hindi ganun ka-strong. You also have the UK decision which says, pag sinabi mong protection ng women, that protection ng women yan, you don't conflate men who think they are women with women, biological women, who should really be protected. That's a UK decision. And we have already repeated decisions, repeated studies on the matter. Kaya, bakit natin pupush ang confusion sa ating mga kabataan? Kasi yung bill na ino-oppose namin, basically, as early as possible, kung pwedeng ituro na kagad ang multitude of genders na kailangan, social construct lang yan, etc. Then you inevitably are creating a framework for young people questioning. No? Instead of young people, sinasabihin mo, alam mo, ang ganda ng plano ng Diyos sa'yo. You can look at this as basically a search for yourself. Hindi dapat ang schools natin nag-i-introduce ng confusion. Kasi we will really get into that point na malilito tayo. But for the public schools and even religious schools, which that bill was saying should head into that direction, being confused, hindi dapat yun ang function ng education.
Ma'am, winding down, a while ago you presented a group, a coalition, tipo ba? What is that coalition all about?
The coalition is called the National Coalition for the Family and the Constitution. It basically upholds constitutional values of preserving the solidarity of the family, the inviolability of marriage, which the Constitution is also very careful about, the spiritual and moral development of the youth, which is a constitutional value, and an instruction by the Constitution for the state to promote as well as all educational institutions. No? So, yun na lang muna ang short form ng description ko ng coalition.
Ma'am, my last question, years after your role at the Supreme Court as Chief Justice, how are you now? What are you doing now, and what is your main focus?
I am fine. I'm looking at the young generation. I hope they don't come to the point na iniisip nila ang mundo ay kalaban nila, lalong-lalo na pati ang mga magulang. Because you can see that in some societies, parent canceling is already in vogue, ano? I canceled my parents, hindi na ako makipag-usap sa kanila. But ultimately, every human being needs to be connected to a family. And especially to the biological roots. Hanap-hanapan nila yan eh. Yung meaning of life, their role in this world, wag natin sirain yan. Kasi yun ang mga kasagot sa ating mga questions na masyadong importante sa bawat tao. So I'm there, trying to safeguard the future of our young people. Ang ganda-ganda ng future ng Pilipinas, but let us remain true to our core values.
Nagtuturo pa kayo, ma'am?
Well, I teach via talks largely. No formal classroom assignment.
What about your law practice? Do you still practice law?
Well, I get some contracts every now and then, but I will not describe any more for you.
Of course. But you're focused more on being an educator of the youth.
Yeah. And parents also. Kasi parents are as confused as young people. So equipping parents for the most important responsibility of raising human beings and a community, masyado napapabayaan sa bansang ito.
Thank you, ma'am. And hopefully we will have a longer conversation on the YouTube channel, The Religion Reporter. So you can say hi to your fans, ma'am, or supporters, and you can promote your book. Where can they buy it?
Hello. I'm happy to be with you now on the ground talking about the things that matter most. Ang pinakamalapit na value sa puso ng mga pamilya, ng mga Pilipino ay ang pamilya. Sa kanila hindi nila ma-conceive na yung mga sakripisyo nila ay hindi ikaaangat ng kanilang pamilya. Ano bang ibig sabihin na magkaroon ng mapagmahal na pamilya kung saan stable ang relationships, kung saan ang mga tao ay nagmamahalan? Doon po nakatutok ang aking oras. Ito pong librong ito ay pwede hong makukuha nyo doon sa CFND. Hanapin nyo lang po yung link doon at pwede ho kayo mag-order nito online.
Magkano po ang isang copy, ma'am?
500 po. At maganda ho ito kasi may manual what you can do as a community and as a church.
Wow.
Thank you po.
Thank
God
you po,
bless.
Chief Justice Sereno. Nakasama natin si Chief Justice Maria Lourdes Sereno. Ako po, si Paterno West Makel, ang inyong Religion Reporter. See you again.